Hey everybody, just wanted to tell you about a ministry opportunity the Young Minds is blessed to be a part of. We are partnering with Sandy's House and the Good Book to help with their grant they have been selected for. The Barnes 5K run that's going to be held in Valdosta, they have selected the Good Book and Sandy's House for this grant, and what this grant will do is it will allow Sandy's House to grow and be on their own plot of land. For people that don't know what Sandy's House is, there will be a video down in the description for more details. However, I'll give a quick synopsis here. It is a recovery, faith-based place for women who, they struggle with addictions and just need help to get back on their feet. And, we're more than happy to help with them and help with that. And, just to, give a personal quick testimony of mine, I'm dedicating this part of this fundraiser to, family members that I've lost to addiction, and this is going to tie directly into episode 200. I'll give more details and things as things get closer, but I just wanted to, let you know about this and that we're partnering with them, and the link will be down in the description if you would like to donate. And just as a reminder, any donation you give, it will be doubled. So if you give $10, it'll go to $20, and so on and so forth. But anyway, that is just my spiel before the episode. But anyway, enjoy the episode.
My name is Davis Wardwell. I'm 18
My name
years
is
old.
Lisa
My name is
Hannon.
Noah Blunt. I'm the student pastor here
Trio
at Northside.
I'm actually Charlie's cousin.
David Thomas, here with Charlie.
Austin Gregory. Thank you for having
My
me.
name is Donovan
My name is
Jones.
Micah Aver. I'm a student at Lounge High
All
School.
right. Well, Mr. Charlie, you're going to lead us out here tonight on your Young Minds podcast.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. I'm happy to have Baines Blanton back with us today. We're going to be deep diving into, how to evangelize to college kids on college campuses. And, he's I wouldn't say he's an expert at it, but you know what? He's done it way more than I have. And, you're in college right now, Baines, and, I've heard plenty of your stories that you've come to tell me, and I'm going to tell you, they're pretty crazy. There's, God's working out at UGA, and we want to sit down with you again. This is your, third time now, I believe?
Yeah, third time.
Bro, and to make people that may not understand this, but I just think it's funny. I said it the other day to Baines. I said, your podcast episodes, they feel like the Incredibles saga. And what I meant by that was, we did his first one years ago, and now his second and third one are like really close together. Baines, just take the floor, and, I'll ask you questions, in between everything, but, just it's your episode to do with what with. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, thank you for letting me on.
Of course.
Wanted to take this episode to talk about my experience doing evangelism up at UGA, and just kind of what I've seen and what I've learned in the past few months. Because it was the first time I'd really done evangelism in any capacity.
Right.
So as a newcomer to that, I just started, and I've got a lot of stories to tell. I think I was in a unique position being at a large university, but also one that had a really big party life, like huge downtown spot.
Yeah.
Athens downtown is like one of the most amount of bars like per square mile in like the country, something like that. So it's a lot of college students go down there, Friday nights or multiple nights a week. And so a friend of mine at UGA, he had the idea of doing a downtown evangelism ministry. And I was very hesitant about that because I'd not done that before.
Yeah.
But about a month or so later, he said a few of his buddies were coming into town to help start that. And so I came over, and me and this group of guys, we went and did that.
Yeah.
We went and evangelized. This was back September 2025.
Feels like, I don't know why, it feels like you did that years ago, but
Yeah.
it's only been that long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It really does. So the first night that we did evangelism downtown, it was really special because these guys, so my friend, his name is Court. These guys that he brought, they were from out of town. One of them was from Auburn University, and another one was from either North Georgia or like Tennessee. I can't remember exactly, but both of them were from out of town. And they had done this before.
Yeah.
One of them had a very similar, there was like a ministry at his university in Auburn that is like just like this, where they go downtown and evangelize. So the way we did it was we split it into two groups. Let's say we had a team of 6 people. We would have 3 people go out and evangelize for the night, starting at maybe 9 o'clock, go till midnight.
Yeah.
And the other group of 3 would be on prayer. And we would just have another group praying the entire time. The ethos behind that would be that prayer is actually like the most effective, like about the most effective way of letting God help you and like making sure you're in God's will.
Yeah.
And so our prayer while evangelism team is talking to people is kind of like praying while they're not actively praying.
Yeah.
And the first night we did that, and I was on prayer team. We met outside a hotel downtown because everywhere else was kind of closed or too loud.
Right.
So we went kind of on the outskirts of downtown to set up as a home base. We always had like a base of operations whenever we'd do this, and whenever everybody was done, we'd meet back up and debrief. So it was me and 2 other people. We prayed the entire time. While evangelism team, it was Court and those other guys from out of town. And it was actually like the Lord moved in such a mighty way that I would say miracles happened that I'd not seen before. I feel like we witnessed miracles. I'll give you an example.
And you, just to
go ahead.
backtrack a little bit, you at first were like, being on the prayer team, like, man, like, I want to go out, right? You were kind of like, you were kind of feeling at first like, is that as important as, going out and evangelizing? But then because I know you were telling me this, that then you realized how important both were, and how important it was to be praying the entire time, right? Yeah.
Right. Well, the thing is that there's not both of the teams are equally important because they're equally as powerful. When prayer team is not praying, you can tell like that things were more stale on the evangelism side. But when prayer team is like really praying, I'll give you an example. This is why I say this. We would pray for very specific things, and then when they came back, they told us like those things actually happened. So like we prayed that God would, perform a miracle, would change the hearts and mind of the person they're currently talking to, or whatever. And then they would come back, and then they told us that, well, at about this time, we talked to this group of guys who they came out to drink, and it was like 2 brothers and their friend. Like 2 of them were underage; they were in high school. One of them was like 19, and one of them, his girlfriend, they just broke up, and she had suffered a miscarriage, and they were going downtown to try to ease the pain, essentially.
Yeah.
And this older, well, he's 19, but he brought his younger friends with him to do that. And as they talked to them, they really were able to share the gospel with them, but also the ringleader of the group, who like you would think would be like the worst one in the group, have like the worst influence, his heart changed the most.
Look at that. So
they invited him to church, and then they got his contact, and then he said next day, like, yeah, I'm going to I went to Prince Avenue service this morning.
Yeah.
Or it was like, well, we did it on like a Friday, and
So he went that Sunday.
He went that Sunday and texted back.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we would kind of debrief, we would say, yeah, we prayed this at about this time. And they said, oh, we talked to this crazy thing happened at about this time.
Yeah.
And so that's why we felt like we were one body, like the prayer team and the evangelism team.
Yeah.
I'll give you another story from that night. One of the guys from out of town, he was asking God, okay, tell me the next person that I should talk to. And he looked over at a bar, and there was a bouncer, and he said, okay, God, maybe it's that bouncer. I'm pretty sure in the next few seconds you're going to tell me who, you're going to show me who it is I'm supposed to talk to. Yeah. And then the bouncer went inside, and then this older gentleman walked out, and then guy said, okay, him. So he goes, let's call him James.
Okay.
So the friend from out of town, he goes up to talk to James, and he says, excuse me, sir, I just wanted to tell you that I feel like the Lord has called me to talk to you. Mm-hmm. And James said, well, who's the Lord? Mm. And this guy, James, he seemed to be like a Chinese man, like an older Chinese man. So we don't know how long he'd been in the U.S., but probably wasn't born in the U.S. And he said, Jesus. And then James said, oh, like the Savior, Jesus. And then my friend said, yes, that Jesus. But James, I want to tell you that. And he shares the gospel with him. Yeah. And then James says, I've been praying. He said, I don't know much about religion. I'm a scientist. I believe in science, but I've prayed that to whatever the real God is, that he would show himself to me. Mm-hmm. And then James asked my friend, he said, are you from Athens? And he said, no, sir. I drove 3 hours to get here. Mm. And then James said, I prayed that somebody not from around here would come and tell me who the real God is, so I would know that this was really from my prayer. Yeah. And so that seems to be a miracle to me.
Amen to that. Mm-hmm.
And then James asked him, okay, what now? Yeah. And then my friend says, well, do you have a Bible? He said, no. He said, okay, download the Bible app and start with John. Mm-hmm. He said, okay. And I don't remember the rest of their conversation, but that's the story that I remember.
Right.
So
you can do that.
That was so just the first night.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, how God used you. I mean, on the first night, like you said. I mean, you didn't know how it was going to go. You're like, all right, you've never done this before. You go out and do this thing because you feel like God's called you to do it, and then you come back, and then this is what you hear.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a faith booster that is. Like, that's huge.
I would say that night got me. I think after that I was like, I'm not going to stop doing this.
Yeah.
I went from just like the day of I was like, I don't know that I'm going to go out and do that. Mm-hmm. And then like I think something just compelled me to go do it, and then there's the fruit of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and you've kept going, and because I've heard more and more stories, that you've continued to keep going. And I mean, and so you have so I remember actually I said this in the live podcast I did. You guys have that goal of, clearing out the bars, right, or trying to as hard as you can while you're there.
So I'll clarify that. The goal is because it's our belief that the bars in the nightlife are a trap from Satan, meant to pull people in, mm-hmm. and then make them sin, and then draw them closer to hell. Mm-hmm. And that's, by the people we talk to, that's kind of the path they're going toward.
Right.
So we're not just being judgmental. We're not saying everybody who goes out downtown to have a drink is like sinning. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that a large chunk of college students are filling their God-shaped hole in their heart with drinking and smoking and sex.
Yeah.
And our goal was to go downtown and show them what the real hole in their heart is, what the truth is, what the gospel is, in hopes that they will leave that life and give it to the Lord.
Yeah.
So I'll tell a story of when I did evangelism.
Yeah.
There was, let me see what I want to start with.
I know you got a bunch.
I'll tell you something that happens that is supernatural every time we go out. And everybody who is in Harvest, who...
Yeah, and that's the name of the ministry if you hadn't said it.
Yeah. They decided on the name Harvest to call our ministry because of Luke 10:2, which is the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is kind of like, and all of that was kind of like good affirmation that God is approving of what we were doing by like showing us these miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And none of our attitudes were like, God must, show us a miracle. None of us were expecting that. It's just expect that he can and still does miracles.
Right.
And changes hearts and minds. Don't expect him to, but expect that he can.
Yeah, that's good.
So whenever we try to share the gospel with somebody, something strange would always happen to pull them away from the conversation. Let's say we're talking to a person and we get the conversation started very casually. Hey, did you go to the game? Are you going to the game? Whatever's going on. What's your major? Are you involved in any clubs? We just, start it with small talk. And then we pivot the conversation into like, well, what are your religious beliefs? What did you grow up in? What are your personal convictions? And then we get to what we believe, and somebody starts to share the gospel. And then it'll be something as simple as like a loud truck will go by. Somebody will just start like blaring music. A loud commotion will happen. We've even had times where somebody, this is like really common, somebody at the minute we're about to share them the gospel will come by and grab them by the arm and say, hey, we've got to go. Or somebody, or they'll get a call. Yeah. Hey, I think my friends call it, we got to go to this other bar, bar hopping.
Yeah. Or
whatever. And like, that's actually frustrating because Paul talks about, we meant to go, I can't remember specifically, but I was reading recently, Paul taught somewhere in one of his letters, or maybe it was Acts, that they tried to go to this place to like share the gospel, but the devil hindered us.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like a precedent of, I think this is like the work of Satan trying to prevent these people from hearing the gospel. And so whenever we would have a new person come and do Harvest, I would tell them, hey, just so you know, this tends to happen 9 times out of 10 when we try to share the gospel. Something unusual will pull them away from the conversation. Yeah. And then lo and behold, that happens to them. And then they say, you were right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if that's not supernatural, I don't know what is. Because sometimes even somebody who they don't even know will come by and say, hey, we've got to go.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's it's one thing when somebody they know will come by, right? I mean, at least it makes sense, right? But then you start to realize, man, we were about to share with them, and then look what the devil does. And then that's even weirder that it's somebody that I don't even know. Because I don't even know if you told me that. I mean, because we've talked about it a lot, just private.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's wild to me.
We've had that happen,
dude.
People that don't even know. What else? I'll say. Oh, here's a crazy story. One time we were having kind of a slow night. And it was 3 of us. I was on an evangelism team.
Yep.
And so we kind of just meandered around downtown, and we were like, it was getting close to 12, and we were like, okay, let's walk up this way to go back to our base of operations. Like, we don't usually go this way, but we decided there's kind of like a few bars on this side. We might run into some people. And so we go up, and then all of a sudden, there's like a hand on our back, and this like really loud guy, he says, let's call him John.
Okay.
Hey, man, cheaters suck, don't they?
Oh.
And we were like, I don't know how to respond to that, honestly.
Right,
we're like, yeah, I guess cheaters do. Because, like, what do you respond to that?
Right, yeah.
yeah, cheaters suck. And he's obviously drunk, but he says, my girlfriend's in there, and I caught her. She cheated on me, and I know she's in that bar with her friends. I'm going to go in there and tell everybody, and it's going to be so funny. And so we're talking to John, and we say, wait, okay, here's what we think about that. And so John is actually, it's kind of funny. He's like, okay, I'm listening. And we tell him, what is your like personal religion? He said, oh, I'm a Christian.
The way, bro.
That's kind of how he said it. He was like, oh, funny you should mention that. I'm a Christian. He said, Christianity, that's my religion. And we said, okay, well, Jesus said, if you don't forgive others, the Father will not forgive you. And so we basically tell them like whatever verses we could remember, like Jesus said, this is not the way that you handle conflict. It's like his general principle was like forgive other people, like turn the other cheek, like as he was dying on the cross, as they literally crucified him over false charges. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he was like, okay. I definitely see that perspective, but I'm going to do it anyway. I will go in there.
The way, and obviously, I'm just going off your impression, but he sounds like a surfer dude that was drunk, which is going off your impression.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Yeah.
That's about how it sounded.
Yeah.
And so we were like, wait. And then, honestly, Court did a lot of the talking, which, God bless Court for that. A lot of times, like, I wouldn't know what to say. And that's also when I was first starting out as well. But Court is, like, more of an assertive personality. So sometimes he's able to handle a situation in ways that I wouldn't know to do. Right. But that's just a skill you get better at.
Well, because he's been doing this for a little while with the BCM.
He's got a lot more experience. Mission trips and sharing the gospel and whatnot. And he's the one who started this whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
So, well, anyway, Court was like telling him good stuff like about the gospel or whatever, and he's like, okay, I appreciate you guys. And we said, you got an Instagram or whatever? And so they exchanged contact. Yeah. And he said, okay, I'm going to go in there. And we're just like, okay, remember, go in there and say like, hey, I know what you did. And that wasn't okay, but I forgive you. I think we should be friends, not dating anymore, but like, we should just, part ways. And he was like, okay. So in all likelihood, we don't know. He didn't respond back whenever Court tried to text him. So I'd say in all likelihood, he went in and did what he was going to do. But I'd say also in all likelihood, he probably like really regretted it in the morning.
Yeah.
But also, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
He could have not gone in there and humiliated that girl.
Right.
But that's kind of like one of the
it's just planting seeds, though, man.
Yeah, it's just a lot of planting seeds because a lot of people, they grow up. This is a trend, like out of like the tens or hundreds of people that we talked to doing this. We are in the Bible Belt, and a lot of people, they've grown up in Christianity as like the culture. But likely their parents were also cultural Christians, or maybe their parents were very devout. But even so, they get to college and they were never like strong in their faith to begin with, and they just do what everybody else does. And I think there's that statistic that like vast majority of people raised Christian, they don't go to church when they go to college.
Right.
So that trend is definitely real.
Yeah.
So I would say like kind of what we're doing is like reminding people like what the truth is if they've already heard it, or telling people like, dude, this it's not about like, this isn't fun. Okay. We've asked people, is this, so like, yeah, they'd say I'm going out to, get drunk or whatever. We'd ask, do you think that's going to be fulfilling? And they'd say, probably not. And we'd be like, well, why do you feel that way? and they'd say, I don't know. I don't know. It certainly doesn't make me feel good in the morning, but, and then we tell them like, what is life? What is everlasting fulfillment is faith in a personal relationship in Jesus. So that's the end of that particular story.
Yeah. But I mean,
do you have any questions?
No, I mean, not right now. I mean, just, it is so cool for God, for me to hear how God's working in that way. Because, again, you brought it up. A lot of people, they have, me included, because I've never been out there, but, I mean, not as much since you've told me stories, but, they might have a one-sided mind about how colleges are, and, how, they might think it's just faithless, right? Well, I mean, yeah, you're sharing, and to some extent it may be. Like, there's no faith in Jesus out there, but you're sharing the gospel with these people, and a lot of them are actually really receptive to it, or you hope they are. You don't know the full extent, like with that other guy you just shared, but, you planted that seed, though. You're doing what, God's called you to do, Yeah. And it's just like, it's for me at least, it's changed my viewpoint on how, colleges are. Because again, if you, just look at what your phone tells you, what the news tells you, all that stuff, you'll think, like, if you're looking at Christian outlets, whatever. I mean, it's just the truth. A lot of even Christian outlets, conservative ones, whatever you want to look at, they'll tell you that colleges are just some of the worst areas for your faith, or what. It's just not there, right? And well, if it is, then let's get out there then and fix that.
Yeah.
God calls us to, to share His word. And we complain about it all the time, me included. We complain about it all the time, that this is like this is like that. Okay, then let's do something about it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing for me too, is that now, and I said this a couple of years ago about something else, but I said, we're at the age now where we can actually do something. We're not little kids anymore. We can actually make an impact and do something.
Right.
And I can't think of the exact verse, but I think it's in either 2nd or 1 Timothy, and it talks about just because you're young, doesn't mean you can't serve God in that way and make an impact, right? And if Tripp was here with me, he would know, because it's Brotherhood's it's their verse,
right?
But but that just rings true though, and especially for the ministry that you're in with Harvest, it. And I mean, when you first told me about it, I was so encouraged though. I mean, and not to mention, you found a group of guys that you can.
And it expanded to not just guys, but a lot of the people we pull from are from the BCM.
Yes.
And so we got guys and girls. And so it's been easier to have girls evangelize to other girls.
Yeah.
And reach that demographic.
Right.
Whereas before, we have kind of a rule where it's just a precaution, for guys to not approach just a girl. Or a group of girls.
Right. There has to be a girl with you.
Because usually they travel in packs of no less than 25.
You're right.
So you're
right.
And you think I'm exaggerating, but we've actually had girls come and do the evangelism with us, and they're it's really hard to talk to girls because they're all in huge groups downtown. And it's true.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by that. I bet you're you know what, one guy, that's fine. I won't be, because I'm sure there's a part of you that, if they're drunk or whatever, you want to talk to them, but also for, safety, you're because they might be hostile, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But it's one guy, that's whatever. 25 girl? Nah, well, that'd be crazy. But,
yeah.
I didn't even think about that. That's one thing that I didn't even think about, how they do traveling groups.
Yeah.
So that is harder.
So, but we are often able to get girls in groups of 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
Just to, a lot of times people will talk to us. So I'll give you examples. The first night when we finished Harvest, we actually had there were so many stories that came out of that first night that we went to the UGA chapel bell, and that's what you ring whenever the team wins a game. And so we walked, because it's right toward downtown. We walked out there and we rung the bell. We had a victorious night. We felt praise God.
Yeah.
And we were walking back, and this guy with a cigarette, he said, we were actually a big group. We were at least 6 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, "Any of you guys got a lighter?" And and then everybody like looked at each other and we were like, "This is a layup," you know. And then one by one, we said, "No, we're out here sharing the gospel." And he said, "Really? That's really cool that you guys are doing that." I do, and immediately, I've been in situations like this before where I'm talking to a close friend, and I can't like hide behind like I've sinned and I can't like hide that, and it's like you're kind of you're put off guard, like your defense is kind of just shut off because like the person you're talking to, and he just said, I can't lie, I've been out here and I've been drinking and I know I shouldn't have. I've smoked. I've done stuff I shouldn't have tonight. But I'm a Christian and gee, I don't know. And so we kind of just talked to. It's a lot of people like that, and I'm just using him as like a case study.
Yeah.
But he was like one of at least tens of people. Like a lot of people we talk to are Christian identifying. But again, are caught in that downtown life, everybody has an addiction, especially Gen Z. We might be like the most addicted generation to all kinds of stuff.
Dude,
And so that's kind of a big issue, but you have people that you can tell are genuinely believers who they just benefit from like words of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not condemnation, words of like
affirmation,
words of like, hey, as a brother in Christ, like I need to tell you, like this isn't for you. Yeah. This isn't what God wants for you.
I mean, in other words, it's like brotherly love.
Brotherly love. It's kind of like the words of a wise man will. Like, reprove, just like a little bit of reproof, like reprove a wise man and he will love you, reprove a fool and he will hate you. That's a proverb. And so he was very receptive. And a lot of people we talked to are also like that. Some people, it doesn't always go that way. Some people are more hostile.
Yeah.
I've got a story about this guy. I'll talk about the homeless people that we talked to in a minute, but we were talking to this one homeless man. It was during the winter. It was like very cold. Like Athens has like, it feels like a long winter. And so it'd get like really freezing. And so we brought like gloves and socks and hot hands to hand out to the homeless people who needed it. And we were handing out to this one guy, and he was telling us like a little bit of how he got there. And this other gentleman walks past us, just like random guy. Let's call him Marco.
Okay.
And he says, he told me that same story 5 years ago. And so we were like, what was that? And so we finished talking to the homeless gentleman. And then the other guy, Marco, he sat down on like a bench nearby. So we went over and talked to him like, hey, what'd you say back there? And he said, that guy, he's been telling that same story for a while. And there is an issue of like, when you're talking to homeless people, it is hard to tell, and a lot of discernment has to be made, like if they're telling you the truth or whatnot, because like we have caught them lying about their situation, but sometimes like a lot of like they're not all the same. That's a big thing that I learned. Like
that's good.
Some of them are more truthful, grateful. Some of them are like more, like what you mean. Like sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
But they'll be like,
I know what you mean.
They'll be like expecting money or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, the guy we had just talked to is very nice. And so this guy, Marco, he just had an air of like cynicism about him. He was just kind of, like casually smoking a cigarette. And we were talking to him like, well, what are your kind of religious beliefs? And we kind of told him like what we were out here doing. He said, he's probably like it's hard to tell. There's like nobody's the same, but he seemed like the kind of guy who like believed there was a God, but didn't care and like knew he was going to hell. And like saying he's tried to talk to God or whatever, but like he knows God's mad at him and he don't really care. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. So different people, they explain their beliefs like in different ways. And so again, Court kind of carried that conversation, to be honest, but he just made it clear, like, look, you're not going to change my mind about everything. You guys are how old? Oh, 19? Yeah, I mean, I'm 40 or whatever. You got, you'll grow up or whatever. And then we kind of, again, it's like, okay, God says, like, no, don't let anybody, like, discount you because of your youth.
Yep.
So that, we didn't listen to that. But another homeless man who we had talked to before, let's call him Jack.
Okay.
We had seen Jack many times. Jack was very nice. So Jack came around, and we're like, "Oh, hey, Jack," and he was like, "Hey, I mean, you guys got some money?" And then Marco starts crashing out on Jack, and he's like, "F you" or whatever. And then it gets really heated between the two of them. He's like, "You caused this. This is your fault. You're the reason why you're homeless," or whatever. And we just had a friendly conversation with Marco, and we like knew Jack. We'd had friendly conversations with Jack, and so to just see that like development was kind of. It's just to show that not every interaction goes well.
Right. And I mean, let's be real. I mean, I think God kind of puts you in the situations to also for like two reasons. One, to help you grow in your evangelism, but also two, to show to show you and others that like, hey, anytime that like if something's going on, like, if going on in your life or whatever, like just remember these people that you're evangelizing to. Like, sure, like you said, they might all be, telling the truth and all that stuff. You don't know, but for the people that are, and they actually are in those situations, and they ended up homeless and on the wrong side of, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You have to remember that, man, like, my situation could be a whole lot worse. Like that's a good reminder for me. Like anytime I hear a story like that, is that because let's be real, as we complain about some of the dumbest stuff. We're like, I'm not sure about me and you, but just as people who live like we do, we we're very blessed with what we have, and we often think like, gosh, like if I just had this or had that, I'd be unstoppable or whatever, but we just have to remember that there's people that like them that they've got it way harder right now than we do, and it's just kind
that's
of a good
definitely
reminder.
something that opened my eyes to going downtown. Because I'll be honest, I've not talked to homeless people much in my life.
Unless if you have a passion or a heart for them, since like the get go, you really wouldn't.
But all that was it's very good for us, especially like I feel like we grow in experience, we grow in spiritual, maturity, just being able to see like different types of people.
Right.
There's a group of people that this is going on to another story.
Yeah.
Who do whiteboards in like the center of downtown. There's a like a main intersection where a lot of times when we're out doing evangelism, we'll find these people from another church. It'll just be like a group of two usually, and they'll have like a question on a whiteboard like, are good people in heaven? And they would have like a question that was somewhat like, how do you interpret that? Because like as a Christian, is it like, because I'd go up to them, or we'd go up to them and check like yes or no, like they'd have like a tally for people to check, and it's like, and then we talk to them, do you mean like good people as in they've been made good by Christ, or like Jesus said nobody is good but God alone, so
Or are they just saying, you're a good person, you'll go to heaven because, like, in the worldly sense, why are they saying it that way? Like,
right. So what the purpose is more, the purpose of the question is to strike a conversation.
Right.
It's not to like get a right answer,
mm-hmm.
because a secular person would likely say, or like a person of like most religions would say, like, yeah, good people go to heaven, bad people go to hell, which is not true, which is not the gospel.
Right.
Saved people go to heaven and unsaved people go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people with the whiteboard, they'd have a chance to talk to the people who like did a tally about that. And I've got like too many stories to tell. There's like a Muslim who we've talked to. There's definitely like atheists who we've talked to.
Yep.
People just other denominations, which thank goodness there are other Christians. But it's really encouraging actually to see like there are other people from other churches doing a form of evangelism on a Friday night downtown.
Yeah. Right.
There'd also be a lot of times another church where there'd be a guy singing worship music on a guitar with like a microphone. And there'd be other, from the same church, people handing out like gospel tracts. So downtown, it's interesting. Like, we're not the only ones doing that. There are other people sharing the gospel in various ways downtown. One story by the whiteboard was a group of girls. You know how I said like they traveled in big packs?
Yep.
Okay, so we had like a big pack. I don't know if I should use that word. That might be derogatory. A big group of girls. They came up and they responded to the prompt. And one girl wrote, "Yes, good people go to heaven, but Trump is going to effing hell." And a lot of people like Gen Z, they're very politically charged.
Yeah.
They're very into politics, like, and religion. Like, it used to be, I heard somebody say this one time, I won't name who, but you've kind of heard, like, don't talk about politics and religion. Well, Gen Z, that's kind of all they want to talk about. That's like a lot of what they want to talk about. I was reading in a book recently. There was a book written in the 1800s, and there's a line from the book that stood out to me. The youth of today, they are all asking the eternal questions. They want to know things about God's existence, while the older generation, they're talking about more practical things. And so this is in The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. So somebody who has read the book, they might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering as I read that line, I was like, is that like a trend? Is there like a pattern in like generations of like, because definitely like people who like Cliff and Stewart, like people who have done evangelism for a long like decades, they've noticed a shift in like the types of questions that they get, the types of interactions that they get,
right,
as it moves to like a different generation. So there's got to be something to that.
Right.
But anyway, we just watched as like one of the guys by the whiteboard, they started talking to the group of girls. Like one of them was like, I'm Jewish and you Christians ruined everything, and I like my Jewish practices. You guys ruined everything. And he starts telling her, well, do you know who Jesus is? And she was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't get all the conversation, but
yeah. But it's kind of seemed argumentative, I guess.
It started argumentative, and then he kind of like spoke in like a civilized tone and was like, most historians believe Jesus at least existed. Here's what he said. Here's kind of what he did. Here's like where he was in history. And I heard her say at the end of the conversation, wow, I didn't know all of that. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed talking to you. And and this goes back to what I said before. A lot of times, like in a group of people, like the worst one or like the ringleader of the group will end up having like the most change.
Yeah.
That doesn't always happen.
Influence on those people.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah.
God will use that.
Yeah. So that could, and the other girls were listening to the conversation as well.
Right.
So like that was really encouraging.
Yeah. For sure.
Just, having people, open their hearts and minds to new information.
Especially when like because it seems like now, we're kind of, and sometimes, I mean, I say sometimes because, I mean, what the stories you're telling me, it's kind of not sometimes, but sometimes we're in an uphill battle, it feels like, because all the, there's more information coming out, like, day by day about, and it's not, it's like anti-Christian, right? Like, it's very worldly, right? I mean, all this info that keeps pouring out of social media, pouring out of the news, and then people within 5 seconds make an opinion, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so fast. You can make an opinion so quick. Like, people, and I mean, it's just the truth. And we've all done it. Like, we'll see something, we don't even know all the facts, we already formulate an opinion, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I mean, you talk about Gen Z, being like so interested in politics. I think 2016 did do that. I mean, I think it kind of.
I think so.
It kind of, people are like, what got people so interested? I think it was that. I mean, I do think, because I wasn't really interested, and then all of a sudden, I started talking about it with my parents. Then
yeah,
and then and then we started doing like the mock elections and all that stuff.
I share that same experience.
Yeah, and then and then kind of just, and like, sure, it might have been at first, talking and kind of learning from your parents, like what the viewpoint was. But I mean, eventually, once you start to get older, you realize, I mean, you form your own viewpoint. But I mean, in my case, it was just realizing, man, my parents are right. In that sense, or you agree with what they say, because I know a lot of, like you said, once people go off to college, that viewpoint changes or shifts, whether if they're Christian or not, conservative, whatever.
It definitely can.
It can shift, and like, sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's not, it just depends.
Yeah. That's definitely true.
But, I will say that, it seems like God's working in all of it, or, regardless of, I mean, and shoot, just to have, but I mean, that's so encouraging to have people, like you said, other, I mean, whether other denominations or whatever, but other people out there, not just you guys, doing the same thing, just different ways. And that's really encouraging.
Yeah. So that's kind of the main points I wanted to hit.
Yeah.
And also, evangelism is not scary.
Yeah.
Anymore. I would say it's like a you get used to it type of thing.
Yeah.
And the real struggle, actually, the hardest part that I have is like how you start the conversation.
Of
like,
course, yeah.
How do you pivot to religion or whatever?
Bro, yeah.
I've had times where I had to, like, we had a guy who was like by a bar we were talking to, and like we just had to pivot like kind of abruptly.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how to segue. Like sometimes
it's
hard to segue into religion when you're talking about something completely unrelated.
Right.
But it kind of just, a lot of times people don't mind.
Yeah.
The switch in topics, or they find that interesting. They'll want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Another like a unique thing of like evangelizing to a downtown area, like where people are mostly going downtown to socialize.
Right.
It's a hyper social environment. Like, they want to talk to people they haven't met before. So they're willing to just strike up a conversation.
Right.
So that makes it easier.
Yeah. I mean, that reminds me of, and I've told the story before about, the guy that me and Mikey evangelized to. Like, I mean, he was at a restaurant, so, he was going to expect to talk to somebody. I mean, the thing that made me laugh so hard, though, is that, because this dude's British, he was coming over from in the military, and I've told you this before, he goes, this is a pretty heavy topic for lunch. And it just, I don't know why, and I'm thinking to myself, man, you've never met a Baptist then. We thought, talking about this all the time, but like, one of the things that you said earlier, I think it was, Marco, the more, like, I guess, like, he was the one that got angry at James,
yeah.
Right? But he said, you're not going to change my mind. Well, that's kind of the same thing about what this military guy said. You're not going to change my faith. And I went, because at first he had said he was atheist, or like, he was agnostic, whichever one is like when you don't believe in anything,
Yeah.
But and I was like, me and Mikey both caught that. We didn't like make a face in front of him, but like as we walked away, we were like, you got that too, right? Like so. My point to that is, people believe something. I think it's agnosticism when you don't believe anything. Like,
agnosticism is like a meaning not, and agnostic meaning like to know. Yeah. So like it means they don't know.
And I'm like, so people say that they are, but it's like, these days I feel like everybody has some sort of faith of some sort, regardless of what level it's on.
Yeah.
You know, just judging by that and the stories you've told me, like, you know, and I mean, you know, again, dude, I don't have anything else to really say, but the stories that you've told me and the work you guys are doing out there, keep doing it. I mean, keep pushing. And my encouragement would be, because are you guys you're not all graduating at the same time, or are you?
No.
So,
No.
I mean, because my next thing.
And we've also got younger people. We've got
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So, I've been a sophomore the past year I've been doing this. We've had freshmen.
Yeah.
So it seems very likely that the torch is passable.
That's what I was fixing to mention. It's like, don't let this thing die with you guys once you graduate. That's one of the big things that, Tripp and his friends have been talking to me about is because they're younger than him, so he'll be able to pass that on to them once he graduates from brotherhood.
Yeah.
And, it's all about, especially with these young ministries like that, you can't let them die right in the infancy. You can't, because they're doing great things. Both of them are. And so keep pushing. And I mean, when I remember the first story, that first night when you came, you were so, let me tell you, people listening, this dude was excited, and I've never seen him so excited to tell me something. I think about the only time I've seen him this excited was when I got saved on Easter.
Yeah.
That's about one of the only other times that I've seen him that excited.
I'm one of the people that I can't fake excitement.
No, I can't either, man.
Sometimes if I'm at an event, I'm kind of telling on myself, but sometimes I like going to a football game or whatever. I really enjoy it. But I don't.
What am I doing? Yeah.
I don't naturally have the kind of energy that a lot of other people have.
Yeah.
So I will enjoy it and be there with them.
Yeah.
And but you won't catch me
cheering and going crazy.
Going crazy unless I can get into that.
Yeah.
I can get into that, but I usually don't start out that way.
Right.
And so I'll kind of be yeah, woo, woo.
But then you'll have somebody like me next to you. You're like, what are you doing, bro? Somebody screaming next to you. Yeah. But I mean, just to wrap it up. I mean, we're praying for harvest. We're praying for you. And I do almost every day when I think about it. I
appreciate.
Because I know that. You're like I said, you're doing a great work out there. I mean, especially, and not to mention balancing classes and all too, and having a social life out there and doing that at the same time. That's a lot of stuff. I mean, sure.
Well, good thing is that Friday night is usually
yeah,
you've already got your stuff turned in by then.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Some people might not, but but I'm glad you do.
Oh, we've definitely had people doing homework as they before we start.
They got to evangelize and they leave their homework in the cafe and they come back and do some more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely had that.
Oh, that's funny.
I wanted to point out another trend that I've seen before we wrap up. How I said there's a lot of cultural Christians that are out there. I've also met a lot of people, not just downtown, but outside, who they're getting into their faith when they weren't really raised in it.
Yeah.
Or their parents didn't really take them to church, but their parents are getting older and they're realizing they really need that, and that they're kind of seeing a lack of purpose.
Yeah.
Or lack of fulfillment, or a need to rely on God.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of young guys especially who are getting more religious, more religious than their parents.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a trend.
Well,
you've heard about that, but I feel like I've definitely seen it.
Yeah, I'm kind of part of that trend a little bit. I didn't grow up in church. It was kind of early, it was earlier on, but I think I was kind of in the beginning of it, and now you're seeing it more and more and more and more as the years went on. Which is again fantastic. It's really, really cool. But is there anything else that you want to add before you pray us out, and then I'll plug things and close?
I think I got across all the main points I wanted to.
All right.
So.
All right. Can you pray us out?
Yeah.
All right.
Dear God, thank you for letting me be here with Charlie today. Thank you for letting me get to share just what you've blessed me with this past few months. I pray that you continue to let us keep sharing the gospel and keep ministering to people and loving on them like you would have us do. And God, I pray that you would continue to save lives and save souls, and that your will would be done and not our own. And I pray that you bless Charlie and his podcast and let it continue to grow and continue to bear fruit. And so it's in the name of Christ Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, I know this won't be the last time we have you on. You'll eventually be a podcast regular because this makes 3. So you only have to be on 2 more times to be a podcast regular. But just to shout you out, the Harvest website and all that, Instagram, all that will be in the description. So people can go check that out if you're in the Athens area or not. Just go check it out. And then also, you heard it in the beginning of the episode, but we have that fundraiser going on with Sandy's House and Miss Donna. So just go check that out. Remember, everything will be double that you go donate. But just check that out. Both those things when you get the chance. And Baines will be back. I'm sure it won't be too much longer. But thank you for coming on.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. With another episode of the Young Minds Podcast coming to a close, I just want to remind you that you are never alone and faith is action. So let's get out there.